Allison Arngrim, and this is the Allison Arngrim Show. Yes, some of you may remember me as Evil Nellie Olson, but tonight I'm Allison Arngrim, and this is the Allison Arngrim Show. And here on the Allison Arngrim Show, we talk about things that make you feel good, the TV shows and the movies that made you feel good, and the people who made them, and people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place. Oh, I always get excited when I have someone I actually know on. I love her. Okay, so yes, you know her. You know her. Primetime Emmy-winning actress, four-time nominee, over 35 years in film and television. You must have started it too. Oh my God, she's currently in the Amazon series Studio City. You know her from Days of Our Lives. Yes, it is the full-figured bitch goddess of daytime television herself, Patrika Darbo.
And who has a little vicious dog barking in the background. You know, I lock her up,
Daffy
she
dog.
barks. It's like crazy.
I'll get you
Thank you
and
for
your
having me.
dog too. So wonderful to have you on. How the hell are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And you look great, by the way. I haven't seen you in such a, it's like people, like, you getting younger. And I'm like thinking, what is she using? What's her facial?
I seriously, I will go to the drugstore and get like a jumbo jar of like that CeraVe, just the cheap regular moisturizer. As I tell people, the trick is to moisturize. It doesn't, I don't care if you use butter or olive oil. Just slather something on before you go to bed and something when you wake up in the morning. And I'm telling you, and then I never could tan. Remember when everybody was getting a tan back in like the 70s? We're all going to be Malibu Barbie.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, honey, listen, I remember back in the 60s where you were mixing olive oil, or I mean, baby oil and mercurochrome. Or iodine, and you were putting that on all over your body, so you got a little pink from the iodine, but you were burning up yourself. So
and the big foldy reflector that have the big fan thing with the tin foil, people hold that under their chin like that. Yeah, and I found out I couldn't get a tan. It didn't work. I do all this stuff, and I'd either burn or just get vaguely.
that's it. You burn and you peel and you're white.
And I said, okay, nothing's going to happen no matter. So I stopped probably in time. And good genes.
I didn't, because I ended up having surgery where they cut me. They were doing a Mohs treatment because I had cancer. So I have a scar that you can very barely see. Thank you, Peter Sadat at SBC. He's my dermatologist. He's brilliant. Anyway, I had stitches down here and across here. And of course, I was sure that my career was over and everything was over at this point, when you kind of wake up and got a hole in your face and they're going, we can do this, or we can do that, or we can do that. And you're like,
just make it go. My mother had one or two, I think, because she's Scottish, the Scottish blood, so pale, almost translucent. And she did. And she's like, oh, wow, skin cancer. Yikes. So, that's the thing. I'm always having everything checked because we pale people. Pale people will burn up in the sun. So your list of credits is 10,000 billion zillion miles long. Days of Our Lives is the biggie. How many years total? Because you also did a crazy thing. You started the role in 1998, but then I'm back. I'm just back. I was gone, and then I returned mysteriously.
I think we left in like 2007 or 8. And then I came back in 2013 through 14. Then I left, and then I was back in 2016. And then I got hired by Bold and the Beautiful, and I did a whole season of Bold and the Beautiful. And then I came back, and I guess I had to do something on Young and the Restless. They continued my character there. And then this past year, I've done back to Days of Our Lives. So it's wonderful. I think they're the best fans you'll ever find. They are loyal. They're generational too. There's grandmothers, mothers, children watching, and it just keeps going. The cycle does. And so the sad part is there are only 4 left. And that's Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, Young and the Restless, and General Hospital. We lost all the ones in New York, which is a sad thing. A lot of the fans were very upset. So.
But you seem to have taken a turn on each soap opera. That's fairly unusual. I think I'll go over and try this one. Well,
again, Allison, it's all about being grateful. I do my job. I work hard, and it's recognized, and I'm asked to be on those shows and be part of it. So, and for me as a full-figured woman, to be invited to a soap where most of the ladies have always been very thin, And it's because it started with 3 cameras. And listen, the first time I went on there, my behind looked like the size of a Buick with those big wide cameras like this. So I've always said that I'm a size 2, except I've got a 0 on the end, and the ladies that I work with have a 0 in front. So it's I've been very grateful.
Well, that's true. The soap operas are everybody. Yes, pencil thin people on the soap operas. So to say, well, we're going to have someone who's like, oh, actually, oh, I don't know, looks like she might have eaten some point in her lifetime. Yeah, that's a step forward.
And some of those ladies eat like truck drivers. Christian Alfonso could eat me under the table, and she's wonderful. I mean, we went to dinner one time, and I was like this, and she said she loves food and stuff, and she's gorgeous, she's kind, and so my experience with her was always wonderful. And but yeah, they're very thin. But again, remember we were doing those old 3, 4 cameras that were video which made you have that 5 to 10 pounds more. So the
Widen you
last
out when
thing
they
I
say
needed was 10
camera.
more
Yeah.
pounds added on them. But
Right. Those cameras, when they say camera, it's 10 pounds. No, on the soap, the 3 camera, try add 20. Yeah, no, it was a whole other world.
it
Well,
was
that's the
it
other
was
thing. Soaps are so hard because you bang it out. It's almost like doing a play. They don't really do reruns. And I've talked to people who worked on soaps where they said, well, we're doing script changes, and it was like go, 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 and immediate memorization and pages, stuff and like, and at a furious pace. On a regular TV show, like Little House, we were in film, we were in Panavision. So it's like, well, we're going to do this, and tomorrow we're going to do this. And sometimes they'd get crazy and rewrite stuff and fling some pages at us to spice it up. But the people I know in soap operas, the pace that you work at, just furious. How do you manage?
I have to say, Allison, it is the hardest work I have ever done. If you're in heavy storyline, you may have 40 pages a day. They shoot an entire movie script a day, and everything is memorized. There are no monitors to help us or cue cards. You need to have it here, and it moves very fast. You may have 1 or 2 takes, but again, it's moving very fast because it's a movie script. And doing episodic television or doing a movie, you may start at the end instead of the beginning. You may only shoot 2 pages a day. So it's very hard work because of the memorization. But um, the older I got, the more I realized that it has really helped my brain, because having to work to memorize all those lines just keeps it very active and very sharp. And I'm very, very, again, grateful for that too.
You'd have to be. I mean, of course, it would be fun doing something in sequence. I mean, that was always the thing with Little House. And we would bang it out. We'd do 12 and 15 pages a day, which was unheard of for, Panavision kind of stuff. But we'd bang it up. But yeah, you'd get married to somebody and you'd be shooting the honeymoon scene before you shot the scene where you met them, and it just everything was completely out of order, and you had that kept your mind going because you had to juggle. Go now, what was I doing before this? Oh wait, that was Thursday. Yes, no, that's tomorrow.
I remember doing one film where they suddenly that we just did an opening for the scene, and then they were getting ready to shoot the love scene, and I went, isn't that like towards the end? And they weren't like this, but they may not be speaking to each other by the end of the film. So we want to do that up front now to make sure they're still talking and like one another. I thought that was rather amusing. So
That's actually kind of smart. We figured the act. Yeah, you still like each other
excuse me.
right now. You might hate each other in a week. So
There, and you're like, not a good thing. So, yeah, it's amazing the time that goes into something. And when you're doing a sitcom, the script you get on Monday is not the final show that you shoot on Friday, and if the second show you shoot on Friday may end up being a lot of changes that you have to learn right away. So all of the genres that we work in, you and I, are really different ways of doing things. But when I go for an audition now or something, I learn the lines a little faster because of the fact I've had to memorize so many. So it really helps there too.
oh, fantastic! Just brutal training, just incredible. And now of course, we did something in common. Indeed, I said full figure bitch goddess. So this character from Days of Our Lives that everyone loves has been described as conniving and manipulative and bitch and just scheming and going on and on. Just and soap operas. I always wondered how soap operas are going to manage when they came out with DNA tests, because half the plot lines are, "Is this your father?" And whose baby is like,
Who's
hey,
the
no, well, we
baby
know now.
daddy? Who's the baby daddy? Who's the
But they
baby
could do
daddy?
it for months, and now it's like, well, you could go, yeah, take a test.
Take
But
it.
she was just awful. It's just awful. And in playing the bitch character, and you've had a couple good bitches here and there and other roles too, playing the bitch character, do you find that I found it very freeing and enjoyable. Do you find it hard,
You,
difficult to enjoy it?
because for me, I'm usually the beat up housewife or the ditzy neighbor and stuff like that. So given that opportunity to be the bitch was wonderful. I think the second time when I played Roseanne in her story for NBC, that was good to be the queen. So, and doing this thing on days was good to be the bitch. But it wasn't that we were really conniving and vicious. It's just that they allowed us to do that. It was their problem, not mine.
See, that's the thing, is when you're playing someone who is, by other people's standards, awful, it's the whole idea is, well, I had to do it. I mean, someone had to do it. It had to be done.
It's like,
It had to
really?
be done.
And at this point, I was taking care of my husband most of the time to make sure that he became the chief of staff of the hospital. So I would do anything and everything to make sure that happened.
Now, and then you mentioned you played Roseanne. That's incredible. What was it like to play someone who is that incredibly well known, and was in everybody's living room, and everyone is like, okay, I've memorized her every move and breath, and now, okay, now good, you're her.
But I think, first of all, it was wonderful. And I ran into her at some event, or we were at the doctor's office. I can't remember, but she complimented me, which to me was great. And when I did her, I didn't want to be a caricature of her. I wanted to be loyal to what she did and stuff like that. Her one criticism to me was she felt I cried too much. And I was like, but that was what the script called for. And so I have to go with what the director, a couple times I'd say, I don't think Roseanne would do this, and I got to have a little input there. But that was, it was a great opportunity for me. It was wonderful. Stephen Lee, who played my husband, he has recently passed, and that was a sad thing. But he was wonderful too. So it gave me a lot of opportunities, and I was worked with some wonderful people. So
Oh, and to get the compliment from Roseanne herself,
yeah,
that's incredible.
that was the icing on the cake. So yeah.
Nice. Now, have you gotten much flack over being the bitch? I mean, obviously, over the years, I've had people who just think things are real on TV and have gotten up in my face about things I did 50 years ago when I was pretending to be somebody else. And I know some people on soaps, there's a realism to it that a lot of the fans really think that they are that terrible person who did that mean, terrible thing. Did you get hassled much for playing the
Oh,
bitch on TV?
I mean, my first event that they asked us to go to and do an event, two little old ladies came up and popped me on the arm and were like, "You leave Carrie and Mike alone now," and then went like this. Could you sign this autograph for us? I said, "You just hit me. Now you want my?" I said, "You're just a stinker, but we love you." So, it's been a fun experience. I have fans that have become friends like family that um for over 25, where it's almost 30 years. So that I've, when you figure out 98 to, I think it's what, 24, 25. It's amazing. As I said, it's generational. So I met somebody who was pregnant, and now their kid is watching it, and she's getting married. So it's like that kind of thing. It's amazing. But as much as I was a stinker, I was well received. But it's sometimes I think people love to hate you in that kind of aspect.
Yep,
But it's
yep.
also, I was a character who was protecting my husband, and I think a lot of people related that to that. For me, cathartically, it was like I could say some things and just be like this. It was that point. It's like
Let
I
out
am so,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. There's something over here take me off, but I can bring that to this character now. So, so it was great. I liked it, and I hope that somebody else will realize that I can play a bitch and not the beat up housewife or the ditzy neighbor.
What is it with the older lady fans and the whack, the love tap that is like at 80 miles an hour? I have had this because we with Little House we have absolutely generational fans, and I've noticed I've never young people come up, and even if they say they hate me, they don't usually take a swing, but a lot of the grandmas and the aunties will come up and they'll even say, "Oh, I love you," but they'll go put their arm and go whack. And I'm like, "What?
Yeah, that's it. You need
Aren't
to
you
stop it.
ladies hitting me? Why did they hit us?"
Okay, listen, Allison, my grandmother was a big Young and the Restless fan. She passed away at 101. And my husband and I went to visit her in her early 90s or late 80s. I can't quite remember. Um, and we wanted to take her to lunch, but she wouldn't go because her story was on. I'm not, no, we can go after what. So we said, okay, Grandma, watch your story. And we went to the store and bought her a VCR and a bunch of tapes. And so we came back, and after her story was over, we set it all up. We showed her how it worked. The next day, okay, Grandma, now we'd like to take you over to so and so for lunch. No, I have to make sure that this works. I'm not missing my story. So we had to sit there while she recorded it, and then went back to make sure you know, stories come into people's lives, and we are family. If we stop being actors on television, we are family because we're in your house every single day, and and then and 5 days a week, every day. So we become family to them. So they don't have a problem coming up and saying, "I mean, you need to stop it." So you know.
It's true. Yeah, with Little House absolutely. We have fans who've been there since the get go. And then we have people who like, oh, I just started watching it. They're in their 20s, but their mother and their grandmother watched it. So it's like I think we're on our 5th generation of viewers. But it's an incredible. Now you're in the Amazon series Studio City now. Is that's the current one?
That was great. Yeah, that Sean Kanan created it with his wife Michelle Kanan, and she was a writer producer. They wrote some great stuff for me. I got an Emmy nomination for the first season and stuff like that. So, and at any point in time, I probably will go back to do that. I got my Emmy for Acting Dead, which the producers are still trying to get that up for a second thing. It's just so hard for new creative storytellers and writers to get into a door to present stuff to people. And I don't know if it's because we're such a litigious society that they are too afraid to open the door to somebody to come in without the proper representation and things like that. But you can't get the proper representation unless you got something going. So, I mean, it's hard for the young people. I think when they started letting, I think daytime started first in the NATAS, National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences in New York, started letting a lot of these soaps like Studio City in. And then there was a debacle, so they now are under short form in the primetime Emmys. So it kind of took away a lot of, you don't have the supporting actors, you don't have the writers, and you don't have the makeup and hair and stuff that you all had in the daytime category. It's just up the game. But this was an opportunity for people who wanted to create something, and believe me, they're paying for it on a shoestring. And some of it is marvelous, some of it's not so good, but some of it is quite marvelous. And they can't get anywhere with it because now they've been abandoned, so to speak, by the academies, for the people that, again, supporting actors are gone. So you just have the actor, and the show. You're done. Well,
because everything has changed so much. Because you did, that was the thing is that your Emmys, you were the first to win for short form. You're the first person to win the Best Actress Emmy for short form TV, and that's the thing. And I've done a couple web series, but now web series are series and things that started out as totally web. And hey, I'm old enough to remember when cable TV only got the ACE award. You didn't have anything. If somebody was on Netflix, they wouldn't be up for an Emmy; they'd be up for a cable ACE award. So everything has changed so dramatically.
And quite frankly, I feel they should bring those. But I feel like didn't mean to over talk you. I do think that they should bring some of that back because the Emmys right this moment, come on, Allison, there's almost 1,000 shows submitted every year. Okay. Who has time to sit down and look at 1,000 shows? And you can't have NBC, ABC, and CBS, Fox, and CW competing against Netflix, HBO, Showtime. They're apples and oranges. They're apples and oranges. And if we sort of broke it down differently, then we would start seeing more people deserving of Emmys, more people being more creative and developing things. I'm seeing 2 pictures of myself, and I look like I'm doing it's crazy. That's it. But it's like I have a picture of me here and a picture of me here. So when I move, they're just a little behind each other. So I was like, what's going on? I just think it would give more opportunities to people. More people would watch things so that it wasn't just like, oh, I've always liked what they did, I'll vote for them. Meanwhile, somebody over here who's just done a fabulous job never gets an opportunity. And listen, Jensen Ackles, who started on Days of Our Lives, the things that he did on Supernatural, some of the work that those 2 young guys did was brilliant, but nobody watched it. because it was supernatural. And I'd rather be over here watching, you know, Murder She Wrote or something. I don't know. I can't. I'm just pulling things out of my head to think about. But those they need to incorporate more TV, but a better way of judging it. That somebody only has to watch 10 shows and they do it, and you watch 10 shows. Well, you and I are different people. We're not going to vote the same way if we're watching 10 shows. But if we watch 900, we got to go, yeah, yeah, no. Well, they had a good party. No, yes. I hate him. He used to do this on I hated him. What? That's not voting for the best in television. It's not voting for the
I've
best
tried
in
to vote.
film.
The SAG Awards, the Academy, and the TV Academy. And I thought it's physically impossible. It's physically impossible. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows and actors nominated. And then I look at what's happened in web TV. Like I said, living on a prairie and Life Interrupted and a bunch of, and some of the stuff I've done that were web, brilliant. They had top directors and actors coming in who had worked in TV and film. These weren't just people in a basement. They were great, and the stuff was brilliant. The edit, they went to a lot of trouble. I'm like, wow, this isn't like, but they couldn't sell it. So it's a web series, so it's on the air, and they're getting viewers. And nowadays, there's people watching stuff on TikTok that technically is higher ratings than a network show.
I know.
So
I,
it's all changed. We need some kind of other categorization. I don't know what they're going to ultimately do. They're going to have to keep changing.
Well, they have to, because this is a new year. It'll be interesting to see how many shows are submitted for this year's Emmys. I mean, it's just you can't say you're voting for the best if people didn't watch everything. And there's no one physically possible that can sit down and watch 900 shows and then say, I viewed everything. I like this one. I didn't even know this one was on television. That guy is brilliant. Why hasn't he been nominated before? You're going to open more doors and have more validity to the award system, because now it's just, oh, they were so good this, and they were, oh, let's vote for them there.
Right, people,
No.
it becomes the thing of people voting for their friends, and you don't want that. I mean, it's so bizarre, but yeah, I've seen that where with the web shows and everything changing, and you were the first one to win in a short form comedy, and okay, how long is short form now? How many minutes
It has
counts?
to be 15 minutes or less.
Okay, so yeah, all right, so I really, yeah, but
I
that's
mean,
the thing,
that opens a
people,
lot, that opens doors, but that should have been an opportunity for young people that are doing films and things to submit stuff. But when you suddenly have James Corden, who does his regular show, and then they just kind of move the camera over here and he does a short form, no, no, that
right?
shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And I take nothing away from his talent or his coup or what he's doing, but he's not a young filmmaker. He shouldn't be competing us against these new young people that are trying to create new things and get their foot in the door and have people look at their work. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
to
old
have
and I'm
someone who's producing
opinionated.
a network show, producing a short form show that's just a spin off of their network show. Yeah,
Right,
that
right.
shouldn't be in the same category. It
No,
would be a different
it shouldn't
category.
be, and it shouldn't be allowed. That's just somebody wanting an extra Emmy or taking advantage of something. And if I could speak generally to any of my peers out there, don't have your agent and your manager have all access to your records. You probably aren't even being notified that you've got a chance to go see this movie, or this is the place to download so you can watch all these things. Half the time, the performers are not getting enough people to vote, because the people in those high profile shows who are being nominated, they're not even voting.
Yeah.
And if they're voting for their own show. So it's like the system is old. It worked before when there were 3 networks. It doesn't work now, and it needs to have a change. Again, my opinion, and everyone has one,
Right.
and
And
I'm
they've already
entitled to it.
started making changes, and I can see where it's going to change and change again. I've noticed it because I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, this doesn't correspond to any of the formats that were originally started for this. This is impossible. It's just physically impossible. So, Thalians, you are on the board of the Thalians. I've been going to Thalians events. Oh my gosh, I think I went to the first Thalian event when I was 12. I've been going to the Thalians and hanging out with Rudalee and the gang since forever. Explain to people what the Thalians actually do, because for people who don't know, they go, "What the heck is a Thalian? Why is it the weird name?"
It was started back in the 60s by, and I'll say it this way, Mariska Hargitay's mother, Jane Mansfield. and Debbie Reynolds. And it was all about mental health. And back in that day, it was not a subject everybody talked about,
Mhm.
but Frank Sinatra would help them out. Peter Lawford was always there. The entire Rat Pack would help them out. All the stars, as I said, Jane Mansfield, Marilyn Monroe was part of that. Even there were events that Michael Jackson was at. I mean, they've had the terrific notoriety, but it's like suddenly mental health, we didn't want to talk about it anymore. And the Thalians sort of kind of went underground, so to speak, is the best way I can say about this. But what we do is deal with mental health. Right now, I think this year we gave $300,000 that we raised ourselves without a lot of people knowing who we are, to give to Operation Mend at UCLA. And Operation Mend takes care of our returning vets who have some mental issues, who are PTSD. We also, I don't want to start crying, but we also have young people coming back who were burned severely. So here's a picture of what they looked like before, and this is a picture of what they look like now, and they don't even recognize themselves. And through Operation Mend at UCLA, we're helping them know that they're still the same person, that the shell that they're in, we gratefully appreciate everything you went through, and we want to help you get back into society and know who you are and that you're valuable, and this doesn't dictate who you are. And that's a big part of mental health. And I think it's becoming, we're now in a place where we're talking more about it. And so we're trying at this point to gain more notoriety, get more younger people involved in it, because, Ruta is up in years. I'm up in years, and we don't have anybody under 40 in our group right now. And
Wow.
we would hate to lose um, what the Thalians have stood for, how they help our mental health program. So, and we have so many of them, the Wounded Warriors, Gary Sinise is, I mean, we help all our vets coming back. And, but we are primarily with mental health, and that's what we do. And we throw a bunch of galas together. I'm hoping to put together a soap event,
Yeah.
and not just with days, but with all of the soaps. If my fellow performers on daytime will help me out and give a Saturday to the fans to come in, and we'll have dinner, dancing, and food. So that's one of the things. And then, you've been to the big gala we have every year. So we're looking forward to doing more. So
Well, isn't there a Thalians like wing at Cedars?
I think it's Cedars. We were there at one point. We were there
Mhm.
one time, and then I think there was a managerial change because that was
Ah,
before me, so I can't speak to it. But now we're over at UCLA. But yes,
UCLA.
we do give a lot of monies there because it's so important. Um, we need to take care of our vets. We need to take care of people who have mental health issues, if at all possible. Look
Well,
at
the
the
Thalians
shootings we just had.
they were, well, yeah, and the Thalians were doing this before anybody. Just said they were doing it when celebrities didn't talk about mental health. If anyone mentioned mental health, he was, they would say, "Oh, you mean you're cuckoo?" I mean, just people did not in the '60s. There was crazy and not crazy. Normal people did not say, "Yes, I see a therapist." You were greatly criticized if you even sought
Oh,
therapy. It wasn't until the '80s and '90s people said, "Oh, yes, everybody's in therapy." And now everyone is so open and talking about mental health issues. And people just worked at the time that the Thalians started. So to have a major charity with huge, huge stars raising money specifically for mental health issues, it was actually a very revolutionary thing at the time.
yes, and we're hoping to gain some um, more notoriety by doing that and stuff. But we're trying to get our, you know you have to set up all your social media stuff that the Thalians haven't gotten to, but they're working on that now. And then auction things off. There are people in Europe that would love to have a picture of Debbie with Michael Jackson, or Debbie with, that kind of thing. So we're hoping to do some auctioning there and get money. We have a little bookstore, excuse me, a little store. The Hollywood Museum gave us a little area just off of Mel's Diner, which has a lot of collectibles in there.
Oh, yeah,
Everything in
store. You have a pop-up store. It's in like the hall between Mel's Diner and
yeah, it is.
everybody go down there in Highland, the Hollywood Museum, there was Max Factor Building, right in the little tunnel between them. You have a pop-up store for Thalians.
It's great, and everything in the store was donated to us. So everything we make is all profit that goes to our Operation Men Fund. So that's been great. So if you're in Hollywood, please come by, have lunch at Mel's, and come right on into the store and look around, browse, say hello. I may be there. I don't know. I try to help out when I can. It's Frank Sheftel is the president. It was his brainstorm to do this. And then we also have some memorabilia from the Hollywood Museum itself. You can get your shirts and your hats and there all kinds of stuff that are there. So we're trying to step into the 2000s, this century at this point. And so any help is always wanted. We can use volunteers in the store, so please come by if you have a couple hours and become a member, help us out.
Well, and that's a crazy thing now is a lot of the charities, the older charities, like, well, you have to have some social media presence, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or Instagram is very good, what have you. And so when you have something that's run who's primarily older actors, it's like, okay, who's doing the Twitter account?
I can barely do my own stuff like that, and it's like I have 2 Facebook accounts. How I got 2 Facebook accounts, I don't. I keep telling people, do not go to Patrika A. Darbo. Patrika A. Darbo is not me. I don't have any access. Please just stay the hell away from there. If you want me, I'm at Patrika Darbo. Period. No A, nothing. Just Patrika Darbo. And then I have a terrible time finding my way there. So
And I love that stuff. I'm Instagram and TikTok, but it's a lot. And I try to keep up and I enjoy it, but I don't know how. I mean, obviously people, they wind up hiring people. They hire some very young person who's a staff person and that's like all they do all day long. But it's a lot. And it's a thing now for actors that one of the changes in the industry, for instance, like, well, there's an audition. Oh, but you're doing it at home. You're either going to a place where
don't
you
get me
pay
started
somebody
on
to
that
tape
one.
you. Well, I just went to an online SAG meeting a couple weeks ago where they talked about that they got to start putting some limits and boundaries and saying, okay, actors, I understand that we need to do this, but you can't make us do everything. You have to meet us halfway, and there have to be some have a Zoom call audition because there's no feedback. You either shoot the thing yourself or you pay somebody to shoot it, but then it's gone and it goes in the ether, and you hope that your agent knows the casting director well enough to at least speak to them. But otherwise, you got no feedback. It's not like there's somebody in the room who can go, yeah, we like that.
And you know as well as I do at this point, when we go into an office with a casting director and we do our first audition, what happens then is they say, I really like that. I don't want to take anything away from that, but try to be a little softer, jovial here, but here crucify him. So you get the feedback from the casting director so that your next take is what she knows the producers are looking for, which gives you help. Now it's nothing. It's me doing it. And then the person going, well, that looked really good to me. Do you think you need to do it again? Well, let's look at it. And then you're trying to judge your own work, but you don't have any feedback. So you don't know if what you did is what they want. In other words,
you're rolling the dice because,
yeah.
And I remember being at an audition in person years ago where they came out after some people, they said, now look, everybody's really great, but we've actually changed something in the script. So the character was supposed to be a little bit this way, but we're kind of going more this way with the character, that she's going to be tougher. She's going to be more this. So everybody, oh, well, they're good to know. We've decided to make it funnier. Oh, okay. You go. And you don't, when it's all tape and there's not even Zoom call, you don't have any of that. You have any of that. You just have to take your shot and roll the dice. And that's really weird. And there needs to be some middle ground there.
I think it's also too, it's called casting director. Casting, you brought me in, now direct me. Tell me what we done. And just seeing something on a paper doesn't let me hear what's going on or have the feedback after I've done the first one, or having to make the adjustment that would further what I'm doing. It's just a tougher time right this moment. And I don't like having to pay.
Casting directors who don't like it either. They're going, I actually would like to have them and talk to them. Studio won't give me an office because it's cheaper to do it all by everyone taping it and sending it in. And they're going, I would love to have people and see them. They won't give me office space. I'm trying to get out of this loop of just having to watch tapes.
It's the same thing with commercials now too. I mean, your commercials, you do a Zoom audition or a taped audition, your callback is on Zoom, and okay, you want me to dance around? Well, I don't really have a lot of room here to do this. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. I mean, I try not to think of the fact that this is the way we did it and this is the way we should keep doing it, but there's a part of that I feel is really needed. And again, because we're doing all the work. We have to hire somebody. First, we learn the lines. Then we have to hire somebody to shoot it and make sure that they know how to send it. No, I'm the actor. Let me act and do stuff and give me my feedback, and we're done. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
that's the thing. I know there was a meeting at SAG about it because I mean I'm all for adjusting to, well, this is cool. We're gonna have this new tech thing, but there has to be a middle ground. It's like getting the bugs out. It's like, okay, we have this great idea, we're gonna do it by tape. And now that we've been doing that, we're going, oh wait, that's a problem. So now it's like, okay, now you need to get the bugs out of the system because this part of it works really, really well, and this part does not work. This part does not work, and that has to be adjusted. So yeah,
well,
they're
and
gonna
I
have to
know a
come up
lot
with a
of
middle
people who
ground.
love it. I know a lot of people who do love it because they have, they can do the whole afternoon, do as many takes as they want to, then pick out what they want and send. But again, you still don't know what you're picking out is what they really want. What
And
if they
then
wanted you
that's
to?
right. And that's the one that the directors and the casting directors are now realizing that they painted themselves into a corner. They're, it's great. We don't have to go into the office. They'll send us tapes. But what if the person taking the audition took 30 takes? You don't know. So then you go fabulous and you hire them and they get to the set and you find out that they need like 15, 20 takes to get you that thing you just saw
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
to
don't
get
know because you weren't in a room with them.
room with them, and they didn't give you any. They don't know what adjustments you're going to want made because nobody was telling you. They just went, "We like her look. Look, this is really a good stuff. We'll work with her." Well,
Yeah.
she
So
gets in and she goes, "What? You don't like what I did? What's wrong
I
with it?
thought
Oh
that was
God, oh
the
God." Yeah.
tape. Yeah. So the actor and the director are basically having to play like telephone operator Dixie Cup on a string. It's they're not getting to communicate with the normal audition process.
It's
So it's
terrible.
very weird. They're going to have to make some adjustments because what was that? There was one director said, I don't know. I really want to go back to the live auditions because I don't know if I want to spend 6 months on location with this person.
Listen,
How
yeah.
will I know from a tape?
It is. I mean, you knew when in the olden days was you went in, you met a writer and a director and the producer and the casting director said, "This is Patrika Darbo. She's reading for so and so," and then you did your thing, and then you go any adjustments you want, and the director may go, "Yes, I'd like you to do it again, and I would like a little bit more of this here." You don't get that anymore, and they're not getting to meet you, so it's can she make that adjustment? They don't know that because nobody's seen if they can do it. It's crazy.
So yeah, it's not just a disadvantage for the actors. So they're going to have to figure that one out. We're going to have some adjustments. So what is this about the Elks launch? You were also a member of the Elks. I went Elks launch. Now I
There,
remember when Elks
I
launch was only guys, but then I had a friend and she said, no, no, my dad was in it, so they let me in. So there's moose and elks now. You can be a woman and be an elk.
yes, and I am. Listen, I'm in the VFW too, so I mean, I'm in the auxiliary there. Listen, I'm a military. My dad was service. He signed me up for the VFW, and as an elk, there is the one in North Hollywood is primarily actors and stuff. And if you're not an elk, you should come by and join. Come by. You can come by and have cocktails for $3, and they have dinner for $6, and includes dessert and
Right down
everything.
the street. I went to a mixer once. There's one down the street from me. The $3 fuzz. You can get a fuzzy navel for $3. I was like,
Yay! Do you know
the
Mer?
elks launch.
Do you know Meredith? She's the grand poobah of our lodge.
Yeah.
And why I'm blanking on her name right this moment is like I'm having a brain fart. Anyway, sorry about that, public. I have brain farts. Yes, I do. And they'll come to me in just a second. Why I can't think of her name? It's just stupid. But she's our head person at the Elks, and the Elks are a service organization for the military. We help them out. And the lodge there's a Girl Scout troop that meets there once a week. There's lots of dining area. There's a bar. I mean, it's just a nice place. If you're lonely, be a moose or be an elk. Come join people. Don't sit at home whining. Come to there and have a glass of wine. It's like, come on. I think we've lost some of that join in and meet your neighbors and have another kind of friend. I mean, if we're only just with actors all the time, it's not thing. There you're mixing with old vets at the Elks and more actors, and it's just lovely. And we had a viewing of different shows that were up for an Emmy there. They have a lovely big room upstairs where they could put a screen up, and so we viewed a lot of the shows that were nominated. This was before COVID, just before COVID, we did that one. So it's been like 3 years since they've done that, but it's just wonderful. And
What a fun place to do that. Where are you seeing your Emmy nominee screenings? I'm going to the Elks Lodge.
it is, and you have dinner before then, and there's cocktails, and inexpensive. And again, most of their proceeds, everything they do goes to for our vets. And so
and I don't think everyone knows that it is. They're doing public service. They're raising money for veterans. So going for entertainment at your Elks Lodge is better than you think.
And I'm looking for Meredith's name as we speak, going, what the hell did I can't remember her name, which is, I know it as well as my own. So why you do that? I don't get it. Sometimes, those little brain farts that come up.
I can have my husband and I've had entire conversations where we ask, oh, you remember what's his name? Yes, he went out with that girl who did the thing at the place.
Yes, but, and then you go, oh, her, I remember her, but you can't put her name. I mean, I've gone to the. I think it's terrible that I can't. I'm now trying to find something without my glasses on.
Yeah, right.
I'm like going, why is everything so blurry here?
Well, you don't have. The other thing I saw in your bio, I couldn't believe you play golf. You seriously?
Yes,
play golf?
I love golf. I play with the Lady Duffers of Burbank. We have a great time. The Lady Duffers of Burbank. Yes, we play up at DeBell Golf Course in Burbank. It's great. They have a lovely little restaurant. If you don't want to play golf, come up and have lunch and a cocktail. It's great. Or join if you want to learn how to play golf. Come on, we take everybody, and it's a lot of fun. And you play with the teams, and you get scores and things. But basically, when you're up there, you're in nature. You're having a good time, and it's really just you and that ball that counts, and where you're putting it. So it's not judgmental. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And I've gotten to play in a couple of different tournaments. I've been blessed to play in the George Lopez Foundation, which raises money for Kidneys Foundation and kids, the kids camp. So the kids with kidney things can go and have a fun camp time. So it's been wonderful. So I love it.
It sounds like all the things you do are about, community. It's been so hard with the pandemic, but people are starting to do it again. But going to the Elks Lodge, playing golf, that it's a way for people in a community to meet together, to form a community of friends, and often to provide service for others. But everything with aliens, it's all about community and connecting.
I think it's an important thing, and I think that also helps your mental health. When you're out, you're meeting people, and people of different things, and you're open to stuff. And look, when you did Little House on the Prairie, it was about towns that came together in different things. And I just think that's an important thing, is that we need to, if our community is strong, then we're strong, because we have backup and people that listen and help us. And so I just think it's good. And whatever celebrity I've been afforded in my life, I'm going to use it just to show how grateful I am that I got here. So it's important.
Marvelous. Now, what's the next thing you're doing? You've got there's the thing on Amazon. What else are you doing?
Right now I'm trying to do taxes. I'm like, oh my God,
what's happening at our house too.
It's kind of like, I've not done them before, but my husband has been ill, so he can't do them right now. And so I'm like going, this is.
Well, you got a guy, you got a person.
I got a guy I can send it to, but you got to get it organized to send it to. And I'm like going, what is this for? It's crazy.
Okay, but you're not the shoebox full of receipts level. You're better than that.
Right now I'm a house full of those things in piles everywhere going. So, but I've decided, you know what? I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm going to organize this pile, and then I will organize this pile, and then I'll create this pile, and then I'll put this here, and then that goes in 2022, this goes in 2023, and all this stuff is past. Why it's still sitting here, I don't know. So
it's got to start somewhere and everything. But I know. Well, that's the thing, is when you're in entertainment, so many things are different, and a lot of people don't realize that. When you're in entertainment, it's like, oh, good news, we do have some things that we can deduct. Bad news, it means we have to keep all the receipts for every single thing in the universe.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm a corporation too, because I've done so much.
That's the way to do it.
But now I'm trying to figure out, how do I separate that from me and Raw?
Yes.
And so that gets a little confusing for me. So, but again, I'm intelligent, I'm smart, which are the same thing. But it's like, I figure I can figure it out. It just may take me a little bit longer. And again, I'm of the generation that grew up with a phone on the wall that you rotary dial to get where you're going. There were 3 stations, and you got up, you changed the channel by hand, and then you sat down. So when I was working in the real world, I call it, um, the computer had its own room, which was the size of my house practically, that had its own air conditioning. It was such a temperamental thing. So now this is the computer. So it's my phone. What do you mean it's a computer? Oh, I see all that extra stuff that you does right now. I haven't learned how to delete an address of it yet. Every time I try to delete something, it shows back up, and I'm going, well, I pushed delete. What is the problem? So I don't
It's
know.
the things we've had to learn. I mean, like I said, I grew up when, computer classes at school were punching holes in a card and you sent them away and they came back with the thing. So, I mean, I have been amazed by the inventions and changes just in my lifetime. And I'm all for it. I'm like, ooh, I got the new Kindle Scribe and I got one of these. And this is all on a phone. I'm like talking to you on a phone. I'm just like, yeah, yeah. I'm all about it. I'm on Amazon ordering the next trinket thingamajigger you can plug in. But I
The
am
problem is
also
I
just
want to order, I want to order the guy that comes with it that shows me how to do that, because it
but
comes and
I
I'm like,
also do find
what the
myself
hell is
going,
this?
am I cave woman? What is machine? But then I do it, and then somehow I do it, and then the next day I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Don't you all know how to do that? Yeah.
I think for us, as for me as an older person, it's intimidating. Not much intimidates me. And I listen, there are times when I've said, screw with me one more time, phone, and I'm throwing you across the room. I've had enough of you. That's when I get rid of that thing. But it's the one thing that intimidates, because you're too afraid, as a senior, that if you push the wrong button, then you've lost everything. So that's a little disconcerting, but I'm getting better. But it used to be I was on a selectric typewriter, which people don't even know what that is, going, the lazy brown dog jumped over the quick brown fox. That's,
I had an Olivetti manual. But yeah, but the great thing is it is hard to actually screw something up. I think why I have the great advantage is 100 years ago, I worked for a guy who was teaching computer classes and he had these training manuals and he called them idiot proof. And he said, but I want you to be my idiot. I said, excuse me. He said, I'm going to give them to you. He said, do you know what this program is? Nope. Do you know what this is? Nope. Good. Go through them and go through the steps on this computer. And if you hit anything that doesn't work, just circle it. And he said, because I want them to literally be, if someone has no idea what they're doing, they can do it. And I went, cool. So I wound up learning all this stuff. But the other thing he said, okay, put me down from the computer and said, try to mess it up. Go ahead, punch all the keys, try to break it. And okay, he says, no, go ahead, I'll fix it if you do it. And then he goes, look, you just did everything but like stomp on the keyboard. He said, it didn't. Smoke didn't come out. You didn't lose anything. It's fine. It's actually really hard to screw everything up that bad. So I was like, oh, okay, good. So that gave me a little confidence to, that helped. And so now
well, that kind of gives me a little bit more confidence. But like I said, I have Geek Squad on, auto pay. So
but we're doing it. That's the thing. We're doing it. It is intimidating, but I say, don't be scared. Call someone. Call whatever the 18-year-old nephew, whatever. But muddle through. That's yes, dude. You
well,
gotta do
it's that keeping going, and you're absolutely right. Don't as much as I've let it intimidate me, I keep going at it and finding it, and then I'll go, oh, that's what that button's for. So, but I do find the one thing that's difficult sometimes in that aspect is if you figure it out and do it, then you got it and everything's good. But if you don't do it again the next day or 10 minutes later, you start to forget what you
it.
did for that one, because now you've had to learn to this one. So it's keeping them straight sometimes. They're like, okay, I remember that I pushed escape 3 that brought up this. Was it escape 3 or was that, oh shit, now I don't want to push that button because that might escape the whole thing. So it's that kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just write it down. Write it down. I have lists in the computer and I have lists on the steno pad. So yeah, just keep them all going. This is marvelous. So you do have social media, and we can find you on shows and on things on the internet. Where do we find you? As you said, it is not Patrika A. Darbo. It is Patrika Darbo on
and
Facebook.
that's in Facebook, and so I just come there. I'm Darbo Patrika on Instagram,
Easy.
and I'm Patrika Darbo on Twitter, so I don't forget my own name.
Right. I'm just Allison Arngrim everywhere, or at Arngrim, because it's just easier. Fabulous. So the next thing is the Netflix show, and is there another show we should be looking out for?
I'm really not. I'm working on a project right this moment with my writing friend that we hope to get going. I have another project that with one of the directors from Days of Our Lives. Sonia and I sent a script off to Ken Corday, and we hope that Ken loves it. He and Mike Russell at Corday Productions, and they'd like to get on board and help us get it produced over at Peacock, because that's where NBC is right this moment. And we went to Ken first out of respect of the fact that we've been his employees for a long time, and um, we know that he's always looking for more creativity, and so hopefully he'll like what we presented, and we'll go more with that. So it's, again, it goes back to get involved in anything you want to do. If you've never done something before, go do it. I mean, listen, I hauled my butt up in zip lines. Get out there, do stuff, play golf, whatever. Listen, honey, I'm a good slow ball pitcher. I've pitched on our team too. I can arc that ball in there and pitch that too. So the only thing is I don't play tennis because my boobs are too big. So I can't be
Racket.
running
Just
back.
yeah. No.
No, yeah, I can't be. No, that's not it. And I'm not coordinated enough with that backhand. So it's crazy.
Thank you
Ah,
for coming on my show. I
oh,
swear, I feel like my cold is gone. I feel completely like better now. This is great. Thank you so much for coming on here.
thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And yes, that's right. This is the Allison Arngrim Show, and I'm Allison Arngrim.